Welcome to All Things Keto. I am Dr. Pete, your host for this episode. I am a PH.D. biochemist and certified health coach, and I am the co-founder of Ketonic Revolution, along with my daughter Tanner. The purpose of this episode is to talk about how one starts keto, and I've just finished producing the first video in this series that talked about taking your time and getting educated about the situation, and that includes getting some food lists, which we have on our Facebook page and our Facebook group, and you're welcome to go there and access that information. And once you have that information, then you need to think about, all right, how are we going to take care of the logistics for this? And I talked a little bit about the shopping and whatnot. Now what I want to do is turn the page a little bit and talk about how you actually are able to modulate the diet. All right, and what I mean by modulate is you're moving into the ketogenic lifestyle, and what this means is that you're going to be eating in a way that you achieve what's called nutritional ketosis. And in nutritional ketosis, we are eating a diet which is low in carbohydrate, high in fat, and moderate in protein. And the way that we know that we're in ketosis, which is this state of fat burning, is whether or not we're producing ketones. All right, now, there's a couple of different tiers to this because everyone who gets involved in this lifestyle is going to be different. I could be talking to a type 2 diabetic right now. And in your case, what you're going to be concerned about are two things, actually. You want to see your fasting blood sugar start to normalize. Additionally, you need to see that your fasting ketones are coming up and also stabilizing. All right. Secondly, if you're involved with us or you're involved in this lifestyle because you want to lose weight, again, you may not have a compelling reason why you need to know your blood sugar. Although I'm going to argue to you in a minute that you should pay attention to it, you're going to need to know whether you're in ketosis or not, because that's how you're going to end up losing the weight over the long run. All right. And maybe you're in this just because you want to optimize your health, or maybe you're a cardiovascular patient and you want to improve your cardiovascular markers. Either way, you're going to need to modulate whether or not you're in ketosis. And the way that you need to do that is to test, and you need to test your blood. And there are a lot of people, when they hear this, they push back really hard. They don't want to do that. Now, I'm a good example of somebody who felt that way in the beginning because I have a thing about needles and whatnot. And when I found out I was pre-diabetic and I realized, man, I need to know what my blood sugars are, and I need to know in this lifestyle whether I'm in ketosis, I felt stress about that, but I got over it very, very quickly. So I'm going to talk very quickly now about the testing, and I'm going to add some other reasons why you need to do it. The first thing is you need a really good blood glucose meter. The one that I recommend, and there are others too, you need to do your homework with this, but the one that I recommend is the Keto Moho, and the reason that I do is that it's a really good meter. You get consistent results with it. Rarely do you take a reading and go, that can't possibly be right, and have to do the reading again. All right, this meter also does ketones, so you don't need to go out and buy 2 meters. You have one that does both, and both readings are super good. Also, it's Bluetooth, so it will upload directly to the Keto Moho app if that's what you're going to use. Don't do what I did when I first started down this road over a year ago and wanted to reverse my diabetes and go out and buy the cheapest meter I could get on an online store, because you're going to end up regretting that. You're going to be getting readings that you're going to look at and go, okay, there's no way this is right. All right, and then after you've finger stuck and done 10 strips and taken the average, you're going to see why you should have just stepped up and paid a little bit extra money and gotten either the Keto Moho or one of the other meters out there that's highly regarded. if you have no compelling reason to know your blood sugar, you're not type 2 diabetic, and if you're doing this to lose weight and you feel like you're already in pretty good health and you don't need to know the blood glucose, there is a breathalyzer on the market now that's worth its salt, and that's the Biosense breathalyzer. Now, there are other breathalyzers, but this one is standalone, and the reason that it is because not only is it FDA approved, but it's also clinically certified. So when you measure your ketones using this particular breathalyzer, so there's no finger sticking, you're getting a value that you can definitely trust. And I've been using this rigorously along with the finger sticking to compare these. And, and I can speak for the validity of this. And again, if there's not a compelling reason to be finger sticking for you, but you need to know your ketones, this is a route that you can definitely go. Now, the third thing I want to talk about is how you're going to be able to determine trends for your health. Because if you're listening to me right now because you want to reverse diabetes, or you want to lose significant weight, or you want to improve your health and even perhaps reverse cardiovascular disease, then you need to be recording your biomarkers and watching the trends. And I do it a couple of different ways. Being almost 62, you can see I keep handwritten notes on this stuff. That tells you something about my age. But my company, for example, we have teamed up with Heads Up Health, and we utilize their app now, both for our clients, and I use it for myself, because every single morning now, or depending on whether I'm doing experiments on the side, which I do a lot of, by the way, all of that data goes into this app. And not only can I see trends very easily, because you can click anywhere on here and you can look at what happened last week, you can look at what happened last month, and you can look back over years on this thing. If I go to the bottom, you can see, if you look closely, I'll try to get this so it's not in the reflection. You can see there's a little graph, and this is where I actually have been tracking my glucose intolerance. There is a tremendous amount of stuff that you can do with this app, and I highly recommend it. If you are part of our program, this is free. Okay, now I want to get to the last part of this and be efficient as I can. So if you're a type 2 diabetic, you're seriously overweight, or you're just interested in doing the ketogenic eating plan because you want to optimize your health, the reason to do the testing to finger stick for blood glucose and ketones, which is super, super important, is because it also allows you a way of testing foods. And for the type 2 diabetic, this is going to be especially important. If you're eating off of our green list, the one that we have posted on Facebook and so on, you can see the effect of those foods on you by simply doing the finger sticking. So here would be a typical day for me. All right, I get up, I'm going to do my fasting blood glucose. I'm going to do my ketones right then and there as well, along with weight and a number of other things. I'm going to do that at the same time every day approximately, and it's going to be the fasting. So I will have not eaten or have had anything to drink before I do those values. Now, let's say I'm going to eat breakfast and I'm going to try out a new food, one that I have not eaten yet. And remember, I am a diabetic that reversed my condition. So I have a lot of practice with this. Now I'm going to try a new food. And even if it's on the green list or it isn't on the green list, it's just something I want to try, right? Then what I'm going to do is finger stick before I have any of it to eat. I need to establish a baseline. So I'm going to do my blood glucose and I'm going to do my ketones right then and there. Then I'm going to eat the meal. And after the meal, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test my blood glucose again, along with my ketones. I'm going to do it at 1 hour and 2 hours. All right. Now, technically speaking, the value at 1 hour should be 140 or less for the blood glucose. Ketones, you should still be in ketosis, which should be between 0.5 and these days we're pushing it up to 5 millimolar, 0.5 to 5. All right. The 2-hour should be 100 milligrams per deciliter for the blood glucose or less. And then the ketones should actually be higher than they were at the 1 hour. So you should still be between 0.5 and 5 millimolar. All right. And I do that religiously to test foods. Now, what's the last thing I want to say before I go? There's a fairly massive effort out there right now to capitalize, by food industry people, to capitalize on those of us that are trying to eat a ketogenic diet. And they're starting to produce all these products that come in bags and boxes and so on that are being marketed directly at us. And I've already made arguments, and I'm making another one right now, that if you are entering the ketogenic lifestyle, you need to stay away from those. And the reason you do is because they've got too many carbs in them. And I don't want to go on about this right now because I did so already in the last video. But if you're one of these people that's going, well, I don't know, Dr. Pete, I don't want to have to eat eggs every day for breakfast. There are other foods, and Tanner and I are going to try and help you guys out with that. So I'm going to try these keto cereals anyway. Okay, so this whole point about testing is super important to you right at this point, because say you want to try out a product like that. So go ahead, go buy it. Now, before you sit down to eat it, run your bloods. Get your blood glucose, get your ketones, right, before you've had any of it. So you create a baseline, and then eat a prescribed amount of it. Pay attention to what they say the serving size is, all right? Because usually they downplay that. Get the serving size, try the food out, be really careful. If it's a cereal, be careful what you're putting it in. You need, if you're going to put that stuff in like half and half, or you're going to use some type of milk, you should have pre-tested that milk before you combine it with the cereal, all right? You got to do this in somewhat a controlled fashion. So then you try the cereal out and you measure your 1 hour and you measure your 2 hour, and you can find out right then and there whether or not you can actually eat that stuff. And I'm acknowledging that everyone out there in the world is an individual, right? So some foods that don't affect me are going to affect you. So every single time I try something new, and I've been doing this a while now, so my diet and my recipes have really expanded in the world. I know what I can eat safely and it's not going to affect me. But the reason that I know that is because I've been really careful. And anytime I do a new food, I do the testing that I'm talking to you about. Because if I get a blood glucose value that is skyrocketing at the 1 hour and the 2 hour, that's done. It's done. I'm not going to eat that food again because I just found out I can't eat it. All right. So if you want to reverse diabetes, you need to be really careful about this business. You need to bring your blood sugars down and normalize them. And the way that you do that is by reducing the carbohydrates to 50 grams or less a day. And in fact, some professionals are going to tell you they should be down around 20 or 30. All right. And we increase the amount of fat, quality fats. All right. I'm not talking about the canola oils and the vegetable oils. No, get rid of those. All right. We're talking about avocado oil, olive oil, beef tallow, ghee, butter, those types of fats. And then keep your proteins to the size of your palm. All right, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the video.